Michigan's rock station, Q106.
Yo, what's up? It's Q106. It's Carrie Stevens. We are talking Capital City Comic-Con. It roars into the Lansing Center in downtown Lansing, June 30th through July 2nd, loaded with guests, including cosplay experts, dare I say engineers like my guest today, Alexis Noriega. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great.
Now, you head up a the Crooked Feather.
Yep, that's me.
So, now I got a little bit of intel on you. I'm told that you're actually an engineer by trade.
No, actually, I'm an environmental scientist.
I got really bad intel on you.
Yeah, no. So the engineering is self-taught.
Oh,
so,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. But, I started at a makerspace and met electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and just kind of picked it up from there.
So you start with environmental engineering, and I'm told that you're a Landstronaut. You're a Lansing native? Or at least you went to school here? Your family, okay.
Yeah. So I every time, when they invited me the first time, they were like, oh, we'll fly you out and everything. And I was like, great, you don't even have to pay for a hotel. I'll just stay with my aunt.
There you go, couch surfing with the best of them.
Yeah,
there you go.
Absolutely. I'd rather do that. So
let's go on the journey here. How do you go from environmental sciences to, you know what, I'm going to build fully articulated movie level quality wings here? How do you go from that point A to that point B?
Slow and steady. So I started environmental science. I did, got my master's degree. I graduated with, my undergrad at the crash. So, the financial crash. There were no jobs, not a single one. And so I was like, well, I'll stick around, and got my master's degree, still no jobs. And so I got a job doing the soil science part of it, and it just, it wasn't what I had wanted to do. Still couldn't find a job. And I've always done cosplay on the side since I was 14 or 15. And so I was doing it as a hobby, and I made a set of wings, and then people asked if they could buy them, and I said, yeah, why not? Might, have a side hustle going. And then the side hustle became the only hustle.
She starts by digging in the dirt, and now she soars in the sky. There's something almost poetic about that. I love it.
I hadn't thought about that before, yeah.
So some of the when you first got into the whole cosplay thing, like what characters did you choose?
So my first cosplay, and thank God there are no photos of it, was actually Battle Angel Alita from the comics. So okay. Obviously the movie hadn't come out yet, and that it was awful. It was a spray painted padding for the armor instead of actually making anything. Foam craft wasn't a thing yet. Oh man, it was awful. And then and I made my cape. I didn't finish the edges. I didn't know how to weather. I don't know. It was bad. But I went to my first con and was hooked hard. And so from there, I did a lot of manga cosplays, and because they're just so fantastical and the outfits are so out there, man, and it was a challenge. And so I just kept looking for more challenges, and that's actually why I made the wings. Was I found a tutorial online while I was perusing, and I was like, oh, that looks super awesome and super difficult. Let's go. And then I was like, I can, the tutorial was not great, and they used the wrong gauge wire, and I was like, no, I'm doing it again, and I'm going to make it better. And then I just kept doing that.
And now you've grown to the point where you're doing your own tutorials. You've got an entire web series basically on how to do this yourself, man. So that's really cool that you're paying that forward.
Yeah. It's on my Patreon, and $2 a month gets you access to everything.
So with some of these more complicated apparatuses that you put together, about how long from start to finish on average would it take for one of these?
Well, it depends. What do you mean? So do you mean how long does it take me to put it together, or if somebody wants to build it using my tutorials, how long will it take?
Let's start with you. Let's start with your skills. Like where you're at right now, having built quite a few of these. At this stage in the game, if you're wanting to rig up, say, Archangel from the X-Men, okay, or maybe Angel before he gets corrupted by Apocalypse or whatever. About how long would a rig like that take?
So Angel, so you're talking probably about a 12-foot wingspan. That's going to take me about 100 hours.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, dude. Now white, maybe a little bit less time because I don't have to paint it. But,
there you go. And I do have some questions about your supply chain. Now, we did check out your site. Obviously, the Rona. If you're doing anything with semiconductors or anything circuitry, that threw a bit of a monkey wrench in.
Oh my God. was awful. Like there was a solid 6 months where I could not find the circuit boards I use, switches of any kind. Like, and I was trying to like figure out, oh well, if I buy the pieces myself and rig up the circuit board myself, can I do that? No, like it was bad. So like I just had piles of wings just waiting for circuit boards, and then actuators in the right sizes weren't available, and I had to try and source new ones for that, and it was yeah. So the pandemic definitely was like a gigantic wrench. But we're slowly but surely getting, like, now that things are relatively normal, occasionally things get hiccup, but...
As normal as things get in 2023.
Yeah, quote-unquote normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I did... okay, so the semiconductors, I was curious as to how that was going, but a more pressing question... Where on earth are you getting these feathers? Do you have like a condor farm or something? Like,
yes, I have people that have accused me of having like giant birds that I don't know, torture in my basement. No.
Some kind of Jurassic Parkian type of thing you're going on here.
Genetically modified. No, I make the feathers by hand. So that's one of the reasons it takes so much time. Actually, I had a comment on a video recently from Chaos Costumes who they bought a framework and the electronics from me thinking like that's the hard part, right? And then they were going to make the feathers and decorate it and whatnot, and I was like, you fool. That's the time consuming part. And they're like, I know. So the feathers take several days to make on the larger sets because I have to laminate. It's basically 2 pieces of fabric over a wire with glue in between is like a sandwich, and you have to make each and every one. You have to shape each individual one. Each individual feather articulates on the framework by itself.
Oh my god!
So like each of them has to be sized correctly and then strung together. It's like
So you're not just plucking raptors left and right. These are being hand spun. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Dude.
So and like I can make them vegan by making all of the feathers. I'll use a laser cutter on a a synthetic fabric to make fake feathers if that's what somebody wants or needs. Though it does cost more, but usually the next layer is turkey, and then the top layer is like a goose shoulder feather that I use. Yeah, so
very cool. Okay, I was wondering how you would even begin to source that many feathers.
So there's actually
you're competing with pillow factories at that point, right?
Well, yeah. So yeah, you can get there's a couple of moonlight feather, lamplight feather, or wholesale feather people, and if you're making one of these, they're so large, getting the wholesale pound of feathers is what you want to do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it works out for me because I don't have to be like, oh man, I gotta be able to make 3 sets of black before this pays off for the pound. No, I need several pounds. Give me all of them.
Lovely. Yeah. So we had talked about the angel and archangel character. Now, my buddy, our mutual acquaintance here, Tim.
Yeah.
Some call him Tim. I have to say that I'm a Monty Python dork. So, he had mentioned that you were a consultant of sorts for an X-Men piece a while back. Or they brought you in to consult about the angel's wings or something like that.
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
No.
See, Tim's telling tales out of school.
He is.
That's what he's doing.
He's telling tales. No, I have done consulting, but typically on larger sets and movies, they just do CG. And so I'm not usually brought in on those. But people who are doing Netflix pitches or doing small independent films, they'll contract me or at least get me to make the frames so that they can make their own, and I'll be a consultant on those.
Gotcha.
I haven't done X-Men. That would be sweet. But
no. There's so many.
I have notes, too, for them if they ever want to talk to me, because it makes me very mad. Same with, Maleficent. I have notes.
Kind but sternly worded corrections.
Yes.
I love it. So, with so many winged characters, heroes, and villains, do you have a dream project?
So, no, because, I've made them. So, I really wanted to do Maleficent. The second the movie came out, I was contracted for one, so it was fine. Usually, for ones that have been made, that's definitely the case where usually somebody will contact me to have me make them. I will say Falcon from Avengers, that one I'm working on. but again, notes, like, they're nano whatevers, so they don't have to, like, conform to actual physics, and unfortunately I do. So that's actually the challenge with those ones. So I'm making it so that it does the shield configuration at the back, so that, you know, when he turns around and it's in kind of like a diamond shape, that's going to be my go-to for when it's closed, and then it'll open out to the Falcon wings, and I'm working on that right now. So that'd be cool if I can figure it out. But like, no, so people will come to me with their ideas that are like totally outlandish and nigh impossible. And those are the ones that I really like to do, is just figure out like, oh, how could I do that?
Right.
You know,
right.
Make it real, even though obviously like it's not.
But you got to at least shoot for that, right? Like when we're designing our nonsense at the station, various promotions and contests and stuff, we always start with, well, why not? Or no, we start with what if, and then we ask, well, why not?
Yeah.
And then we just keep butting our heads against the wall until we learn just how impractical our nonsense is. So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and you're working around when you're dealing with characters that are either animated or animated, I guess. It's a live action version, but they still do the CG. That's the challenge, right? It's like, oh, like, not only what is the size, but what is the movement? And the movement is different than what I've already figured out. So now I need to re-engineer everything. And,
right. So when you were first like building these apparatuses and getting your designs and stuff, as you continue to polish this work that you're on here, do you find yourself? Do you watch nature films to study the movements of raptors and that sort of thing? No. So for the original set of wings, yes. Like, I was definitely going for the most accurate or anatomically accurate wing that I could manage. Without getting so complicated that it's prone to break, right? So, like, you know, every point of articulation is a point of potential failure.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, keeping it simple, stupid is definitely like a motto of mine. Like, when things start to get overcomplicated, that's when I start to just step back and like go, okay, no, because the second I put this together, it will shatter. There's just too much going on. And so I, like, if I can get everything onto, per side, one motor, like, that's what I try to do. Because, like, the second you start adding more and more, it gets ridiculous. What was the question again?
Just wondering if you're like looking to nature for the various designs and stuff. But it's more of a matter of, will this? I need to make this work first, and if it looks like the birds do, then that's a bonus.
Well, yeah. So for that, like, when I designed the framework, I just like went with this pivoting framework that got me the dimensions that I needed that kind of fit a bird wing. But the thing is, like I said, you know, a lot of these drawn and animated wings don't conform perfectly to actual reality, which is where most of my notes come from. Excuse me. But like if they don't form or function like an actual real wing, it's okay. It's a fantasy character. Technically, their wings can do it. Like, there's some that have, like, multiple, you know, instead of having, you know, a shoulder, an elbow, and a wrist joint like a normal bird would, you know, it's got all these extra joints in it that do extra things. It's like, okay, well, that's interesting, but all right. You know?
Yeah. It's fine. It works on paper. It works on the film, right?
Yeah.
So, Alexis, I got one more question for you. And you mentioned when we got into your backstory, you had your environmental sciences, and then here comes the recession.
Yeah.
And right now, there's going to be somebody who's watching this or listening to this, and they're in a similar boat.
Yeah.
The Rona came along, screwed up all their plans, or they're still trying to sort out what they want to do, but they've got this passion, they've got this side project they're working on. What would you tell that person as far as how to convert this passion, the side project that they have? How would you advise them to convert that into the full-time thing?
Yeah. So, So I think what it is that, like, I got lucky. There is a component of luck, but part of it is just like, one, your passion is going to show through. So social media is an absolutely fantastic way to just get your work out there. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm so engrossed in my work. I often forget to take photos and like video, and I'll just be so like hyper focused on it, and then it's like, ta-da, it's done, and it's like,
Right,
sticks.
right.
I forgot to take photos of. But if you can if you can manage to take photo and video, post on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and just get your work out there on top of everything else, someone's buying what you're selling. Whatever you're into, if you're passionate about it, it really shines through. And I'm passionate about making absolutely stupid impractical things, at least semi-practical, and I will never get tired of figuring out something that seems impossible. And I think that's what a lot of people are drawn to. It's they didn't realize it was possible until someone showed them they could. And so if you have something that you can show people that really just triggers that same love of something, I think that is my biggest advice, is just if you're actually passionate about it, just be passionate about it and show everybody else that.
Hell yeah. Friends, if you go to thecrookedfeather.com, check out Alexis' portfolio. It is mind-blowing. Again, the attention to detail, just seeing some of these pieces in action. It's incredible, the work you do, dude. It looks so dope. Cannot wait to see that go down this weekend. Yeah, June 30th through July 2nd. When you do visit the Landstronaut family, what do you like to do the most when you're in town here, besides go to Capital City Comic-Con?
Well, we're gonna go up north for a couple of days and hang out by a lake. It's gonna be a little rainy, but that's okay. I'm live in Arizona. I'll take the rain. Thank you. Just moisturize me, please.
Spoken like a true Landstronaut. My favorite thing to do in Lansing is getting the hell out of Lansing. That's
Sorry.
You'll have that. We're working on that. We have a concert venue in the works and a whole bunch of other stuff.
And not gonna lie, me and my Uncle Dave, we'll go to downtown Lansing, and one of my favorite things to do is go out with my Uncle Dave, and we'll just go to bars and live music. That's another one. So,
there you go. Perfect. Well, Alexis, we look forward to hanging with you and everybody else at Capital City Comic-Con. Thecrookedfeather.com. You've got a podcast, I hear, as well?
No. A Patreon.
A Patreon. Okay.
Yeah.
Tim has given me all the wrong information. She's an engineer with a podcast. He told me you make wings. He got that part right.
Oh, you know what it is I was on a podcast called and I'll plug them, Two Idiots and a Dog. And that podcast was hopefully coming out. It was on, instead of talking about costumes, I talk about my favorite series, Aliens. So,
there you go. Perfect. There you go. All right. Well, you can listen to Alexis on this podcast streaming thing. Like and subscribe to the Q106 YouTube channel, and please make us look popular on the internet. Alexis, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Good to be here.
Michigan's rock station, Q106.